welcome to this special edition of We the People, coming to you today from Mumbai. On the program today, we look at one of India's most beloved, most successful, and some would say most charmingly eccentric community. That's right, we're talking about India's Parsis. And while their success has often grabbed the headlines, what is also ringing alarm bell is the fact that this is a community that is now facing a very real danger of extinction. By the last count of the census, the numbers of Parsis in India are down to 69,000 or thereabouts. The government seems to have finally woken up to this clear and present danger and started a program just recently called Geo-Parsi in an attempt to contain the dwindling numbers and try and save this precious community, part of India's culture and history, from near extinction. Also, of course, within the community, there are now voices of reform challenging the orthodoxy, challenging what some say are archaic traditions. In particular, several women are speaking up saying, why is it that if they marry outside the community, their children and even they themselves lose many of their rights? Their children, in fact, are not counted as Parsi if they marry outside the community. On the program today, the Parsis and the challenges they are facing from within and outside. I'd like to start today with somebody who has, in a sense, grabbed the headlines by taking her fight to the Supreme Court of India. Gulrukh was contractor, then married outside the community. That in itself was something that doesn't happen very often in your community, Gulrukh. And now you ended up marrying outside the community, and you found that you may not get an opportunity to take part in the last rites of your parents. You lose several other economic and religious rights as well. And you've taken this fight all the way to the Supreme Court. Tell us a little bit about why this is so important to you and why you think this is not just about you, but why it's about your community.
First and foremost, our religion or customs are not uniform. We face a big problem of gender-biased religion. Here, the men are allowed to do their last rites in the Tower of Silence. The children's Navjot can be performed. They can go to any of the Atash Beram or Agyaris, wherever they like. And our women are still not allowed in certain parts of the country. In places like Delhi, Calcutta, Madras, the trustees have made their own opinions and they have allowed they've been liberal. But in places like smaller towns, the girls are still not allowed. That's when I felt that why not girls? And where I come from, a small town in Valsar, where till 2003, the trustees were very liberal. They never stopped any girl who was married to non-Parsis to enter the fire temple or the last rites of the parents, for which I'm fighting, because it was the most important. I think it's very inhuman to not let a girl child do or attend her last rites of her parents on the basis that she is married to a man of her own choice.
You've said that in some cases the panchayats have been lenient, but there is no uniformity.
Yes.
But overall, what has been the role of the panchayats? Are they encouraging these voices of reform or are they not?
Larger cities like Bombay, they have allowed. But that is where I'm talking about no uniformity. Here it is gender bias.
Yeah.
It is city and state and the trustees who decide whether we are allowed or not. It is on their whims and fancies.
And the same rule clearly doesn't apply to the men.
To the men. I remember when in 2003, when my uncle passed away, I was married for a good 13 years. And I attended his funeral. I attended all 4 days in the Agyari in Valsar, and I was not stopped because there was liberality and there was a progressive trust.
Cyrus, here's the point that a lot of people may not understand. Now, I know, don't look so worried.
I know the lawyer for the defense, sir, please.
No,
I was told that this was a program on men in their 40s turning into women. So I was far more comfortable with that topic, and now I come here.
Okay, why don't you talk a little bit about that first, and then we can get to the Parsis.
But that's why I wore short pants to prove that I'm still male, but going down slowly, as you can see.
Jokes aside.
Yes.
My question is this. This is a community that, when we say it's facing extinction, this is not rhetoric. This is real. The numbers are down to 69,000 at last count. it's declining at a rate of 12% per decade. I'm not Parsi, so I'm trying to understand this from the outside. What strikes us as peculiar is that the children of Gulrukh, let's say, if they wanted to be counted as Parsi, they would not be able to, because the moment she marries outside the community, she loses her identity as a Parsi woman, or she potentially could lose her identity. Now, doesn't this make it, apart from the gender bias, isn't it odd that when you're looking at dwindling numbers, doesn't this also compound the problem?
As far as I know, this is a gender issue which is not just about Parsis. Okay,
Yeah.
this is about India in
all
general.
personal laws are against women.
Club
Yeah.
memberships, you look at any communities, most people out here are from the same community, both parents from the same subcaste. So that's not a Parsi issue as far as I'm concerned. That's symbolic of India, wherever you go.
Yeah.
And that's a gender issue which has
Fair
to be
enough.
addressed in a much broader perspective.
Fair
So let's
enough.
not target Parsis alone.
No, not
And like
targeting
she's
at all.
already pointed out,
Yeah.
they've got different... there's no uniform code as of now.
Yeah.
There is a sort of in place, but there are different people who are a little more liberal, more flexible than those who aren't, just like in any other group or association. So what is right or wrong? I personally, as an egalitarian and Democrat and a complete coward, would like to just sit on the fence and allow the greybeards and the young Parsis who are in charge of making decisions, hopefully come to the party and in a civilized way, over hopefully in a quick period of time, because we're dwindling fast, come to an understanding where perhaps we will allow more
But
options.
for somebody like yourself, who was it a big deal when you got married? Did you sort of think, oh, should I marry within the community? Should I marry
No,
outside
see,
the community?
There's a clear gender bias. It's a little unfair because I think for the males, you never really feel it.
Yeah.
And definitely, I have no idea what she must have gone through, to be honest. And also the name remains Parsi. And so, from childhood, the surname is Parsi. So I think a whole different sort of experience for the husband being Parsi. But why didn't you marry a Parsi, Barka? You can increase the
Do you
amount.
have a candidate?
I'm ready. I'm allowed to go
You're-
two. I'm
you
allowed to
are
go 2
ready.
rounds. And now there's medication which can keep me going.